Hi everybody, and welcome back to Plastic Models by a Regular Dude and part 2 of the Arma Hobby 1/72 scale Hurricane Mark II-C Trop. Alright, in the last video I did the whole review of the contents of the box, and now I'm actually doing some work. So like I said in the other video, I'm not doing a step-by-step. However, I am going to mention things as I come across them. So here's the first one. In reading or looking at a review somebody had done on one of these hurricane kits, I can't remember if it was this particular one or one of the other hurricanes, but he had a bit of a problem getting the wings to fit together after he put the landing gear assembly or landing gear bay assembly in place. So as you can see here, you've got 3 parts to start with: front, the back, and actually vice versa, front, back, and then this canister here, whatever it is. And then there are these 2 parts here, parts 19 and 20, that fit into these parts on the sides. Let me get my pointer. How does this work? They fit in here, and there's a nice little locating tab here, and then the front of this fits into a slot on the back here, and they fit great. The problem is, or not really a problem, but something to look out for, is these things right here, parts 19 and 20, are the same width as this inner wall right here of the gear bay door. So if you can see in here, it's flush here, and it's also flush on the bottom. However, because it's flush on the bottom, it causes a bit of trouble, because this little ridge right here blocks this whole assembly from bottoming out in this little trench, because these are flush here. These parts here, like if you were not to put these parts in and just drop this into place, it would fit snug, smooth, no problems. But then if you try to put this in place, it wouldn't fit because it's too long on the bottom. So the best course of action would be, best case scenario, is to trim these off just a little bit before they're assembled, before they're glued in here. Now you can still glue them in there, but just give yourself some room to allow for this little ledge on both sides. Or you could put this part in and then put this in place, see how much you need to trim off, and keep trimming till it fits. Now I glued these in before, just like it shows on the instructions here, before I put it into place, and this whole assembly had a largish gap all the way around because it wasn't sitting down in there. So what I did is I just took my knife and from the back side of this part, it's already glued in, I just carefully scored here all the way down, scored through this part down to this, and then just trimmed it out. And as you can see, it fit fine. Just be real neat, or better yet, trim it off before you put it in. So I think that's what was giving that one person trouble, because whenever I fit it now, it fits nicely. Another little tip, just to get it to squeeze together that much easier, is this part right here has a slight little, it's from the molding process, I'm sure, but a slight little angle on this part. So just using a sharp blade, just kind of scrape it down, make it a little bit more 90-degree angle, and then it'll fit no problem, just like that. Okay, so that's it for now. I'll work on this some more and come back once I either get a few steps finished or if I have something else to point out. All right, here's a little quick update. I've got the cockpit completed and installed, and it all went together fine. I have to say, the decals that I used are really good. Now this is the stuff on the interior. We'll see what happens with stuff on the exterior, but they're all coming out the same sheet, but they are really thin, and they conformed really well to the instrument panel and the sidewall, and even the seat belts. Now the color's kind of maybe a little iffy on the seat belt color, but I'm okay with it because I didn't want to put aftermarket stuff in here. But they worked really well. They did not break whenever I bent them around the edge of the seat, because as you can see here, it shows that you're supposed to bend them over the seat and lay them across, or the side rail of the seat and lay them across. They didn't break. I've had other brands that will break when you try and bend them like that. And that was just straight out of the water, no softener or anything like that. And once I got it put into place, I used a little bit of Mark Fit decal solution, which I've discovered I really like, and got them to fit really well. The cockpit parts fit really good. I got a stinking fingerprint right there, but that should sand out pretty easily on that right behind the armored headrest of the seat there, but it'll be okay. But what I really wanted to talk about is, as you can see on the instructions here, the components that make up the cockpit are the instrument panel, this brace work type stuff, and the seat and bulkhead here. Now it shows putting them in like that and then putting the two parts together. However, in order to save on stress and headaches, I discovered that the better way to do it is to assemble the cockpit and then insert this where it goes, because there's indents in the side of the cockpit walls, and they just pop right into place like that, and then you can just put that in place right there, and it's much easier than trying to deal with, you know, that being in place on one side and then putting the two halves of the fuselage together. So just a little tip there. You know, obviously you can do it however you want, but I think this is a good way to do it, and that's the way I did it. So there you go. Also, the fuselage halves fit together really well. Doesn't look like there's any steps. If there's a little bit of sanding that needs to be done from it, you know, cement seeping up through the crack as you squeeze them together, which helps as a filler. The panel lines are all in line, so that should be easy to clean up. The spine looks really good. At first I thought it was a little bit off, but all that is some discoloration from when I sprayed the primer and the paint inside of there. So that's where it is so far. So it's looking pretty good. I'll be back soon. All right, now it's time for the next little update on this project. As you can see, I've got the tail of the plane assembled. I've got the wings installed. I got the radiator scoop installed in this intake here, which I think is part of the tropical business. But it's all, basically it's ready for paint, with the exception of masking the windscreen and the canopy. Now this canopy here, this is the closed canopy, and I'm just going to basically be using this for to block off the cockpit as I paint it, because I'm going to be using the slid open canopy. But I need to mask it first. Now the instructions, if you remember from my initial look at the instructions, have this cool little mask template down here. So what I did, and it worked quite well, is I took this, put it on my scanner / printer inkjet, and copied it. Then all you need to do is take some tape that you can kind of see through, like Tamiya, and just put it over put it over the design like that, and then peel it off, because the Tamiya masking tape will come off and you have a nice template. So then what I did is I put them on a business card right here so I can see it really good. Then I can just trim them out, peel a bit of business card off, and then stick those in place. So that's what I'm going to work on right now. Okay, the windscreen is in place with the masking. I put the canopy that I'm not using in place to act as a mask to keep paint from getting in the cockpit. And I've got the canopy that I am using all nice and masked and ready to go. So I think since this is ready for paint, primer and then paint, I'm going to end this video here. So thanks for joining me on part 2 of the Arma Hobby 1/72nd scale Hurricane Mark II-C Tropical. If you have any experience with the Arma Hobby brand, please put your comments and your thoughts in the comments section down below, because I'd like to know what you think of these kits, if you've built any of them, because this one so far is pretty good. I'm digging it. So any comments, hints, tips, that kind of stuff, put in the comment section down below. And as always, thanks for watching Plastic Models by a Regular Dude, and I will see you later.